Hello, it's me, Andy, from Blitz Gaming. Hope you're all having a great day. It's a bit chilly and rainy in the UK, but that's well, UK weather for you. Today's video, unboxing of an Asus motherboard, Tuff Gaming B660M D4 motherboard. Now I have done a thermal test on this board, and I should put the link up here on the screen. Yeah, I was going to do the unboxing months back, but I got busy doing other stuff. So yeah, we'll do the unboxing today, see what you think, and go from there. Now there's 4 versions of this board. I should also put them up now on the screen. This one you may not be able to get hold of anymore. It doesn't show on Asus's website anymore unless you do a search. But they do 2 with Wi-Fi and 1 without Wi-Fi. Now, one's DDR5 and the other 2 are DDR4. So yeah, the specs are slightly different from the one with Wi-Fi and one without, but otherwise all basically identical from each other. Okay, let's have a look. One certificate, 1 manual, can't complain, we have a manual. Stickers, waste of money. A DVD, okay, yeah, you can get a quick set up, but you're going to find out it's all out of date. They always are. So yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think they should be giving you CD-ROMs these days for drivers, because you just download them off the net, the latest version. A quick leaflet guarantee, quick reference design of the motherboard layout, M2 screws with so like 2 stickers, 2 M2 pads there are. So that's what for when you put the heatsink on. And 2 cables, SATA cables, one with a 90 degrees bracket. So, alright, let's get that all out of the way. Take a look at the board. So the board itself is black and grey. So yeah, it's also got orange writing on it and lines on it to brighten it up. But yeah, it's not bad at all. This side here, this top left is a glowy. There's some little lights behind that glow if you haven't turned on. So yeah, so let's have a look from the top what she comes with. So as you got top left corner, we have a fan controller, and under that we have 2 addressable RGBs. Across from there we have 2 more fan controllers, so that's 1 CPU, pump and option controllers, and going over from there we have an 8-pin plus 4-pin ATX 12 volt CPU power supply. So it's designed for a bit of overclocking at the end of the day. Then we go around to the back plate. The back plate is like a plastic shroud. Personally I would have rather that been like a gunmetal in metal, not plastic, but it's plastic. And we got a display port, HDMI 2.1, so that's 4K 60 Hz. USB wires, we have 1 USB type C, 4 USB 3.2s type A in an aqua colour, like a funny looking greeny blue. I think that's aqua. And we got 2 more USB Type A's in black and 1 USB 3.2 in blue above the USB-C. So that's 7 in total plus the USB-C. So yeah, should be enough for most people when it comes to USBs. Unless you've got loads of hard drives and USB sticks you want to plug in, then you're obviously going to be in problems. On top of that, we have a 2.5 gig LAN socket. So plenty of speed. Unfortunately, you've got to get a switch to go with it, or have a very good modem which has got 2.5 gig. Not come across a modem with 2.5 gig attachment. Switches there probably, there's definitely 2.5 gig switches, but they're not going to be cheap. That's a dead cert. So we go around to the bottom. We have audio header, a COM header, a Thunderbolt header, 2 more chassis fan headers. Then we have the Aura RGB header. Next to that we have a addressable RGB header. Then we got 2 USB headers. Then another fan header. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6 fan headers. So you shouldn't have no problem with fans. And all they all connect with their Aura Sync as well, so you can have glowies everywhere. So next to that we have 2 SATA ports in grey facing upwards. Then we have the front panel connector and a sound for your speaker. Then we have on the right hand side 2 more SATA connectors in grey facing outwards. So you've got an option to go up or sideways, depending on where your wires come in. Unless you want to use all 4, then you got it doesn't matter. On top of that we have another USB-C. Then we have USB 3 header, that's the big chunky one. Then the 24 pin mobile power supply header. Then we go back up to the top right corner, which we've already said about. So we've got four dim sockets, 2 grey, 2 black. Obviously when you're doing dual channel, make sure you don't mix them up. Big CPU in the middle, 1700 socket. So 12th gen, 13th gen. Now if you want to use 13th gen, you must have BIOS update 1620 onwards to get 13th gen working. Now this doesn't have a flash button on the motherboard. So the best thing to do is, if you've got 12th gen already, it's not a problem. Or before buying the motherboard, ask your retailer to check the BIOS and see if they can update it for you. I usually do it for free, so you just got to ask them. So, and you should be okay. Below the socket we have an M2 with a heatsink, like in gunmetal and grey colour. Under that we have PCI Express 5 x16 with armour shielding for your graphic card. And below that we have PCI Express 4 x1 socket. And at the bottom we have PCI Express 3 x16 x4 mode at the bottom. So yes, you've got plenty of things to go with. And in between the sockets we have another M2 controller. So yeah, so you've got plenty of, you can have 2 M2s, and obviously PCI Express 5, no problem when it comes to your graphic card. Not that there is any PCI times 5 graphic cards, but I suppose they'll turn up sometimes, maybe 5th generation, or 6th generation. I think we get there. I'm not even sure 5th generation will get there. So it could be 6th generation from Asus, or we're talking what we're now 8th or 9th series gen from Radeon graphic cards. So yeah, it could be a good 2-3 years away before we get that sort of speed in graphic cards. Game M2 hard drives. I'm not seeing any PCI Express 5 hard drives. There may well be. If there was, they're going to be expensive. Considering how fast and high expensive PCI Express 4 ones are. So yeah, it's a good board. It's well balanced. Like I said, the only thing I don't like about it, don't have a flash button. I think all motherboards these days should have flash buttons because there's so many CPUs these days coming out, and they don't all come out at the same time. If they did, it wouldn't be a problem because the motherboard will support them from day one. But because they don't, you could always be in trouble. Otherwise, yeah, it's well built. Don't really see nothing wrong with it. And like I said, it's got a chunky heatsink, very chunky heatsink around the CPU. Yeah, take a look at the video, the thermals. If I remember rightly, this matched the Z series in Cinebench scores, so they've done pretty well. Okay, I think it was hotter. No doubt about that. I think it was definitely warmer than the Z series, but speed-wise, it did match the Z series, Gigabyte Z series motherboard I've got running. Yeah, the other thing is the price. I can't remember what price I paid for this, but going by Asus's website, these balls are between £220 and £260. Now they ain't going to be that price when you buy from a shop. They're going to be a lot lower than that. But if I was going to pay that price, I would certainly be looking at a Z series motherboard. Yeah. The problem with the B series, they're always a funny price. It's like they're either cheap, and you might as well buy a H because they're no better than the H series, or they're very high priced, and you think, well, I might as well spend the extra £15–20 and get a Z series. At least the Z series will come with all the PCI Express lanes and lots of features, and then you'll be able to overclock it. It's worth it wanting to overclock as standard. So yeah, if you're going to pay that sort of price, yeah, I'll certainly look at Z series. Otherwise, yeah, it's a good board. Can't complain. It supports 128 gigs of memory. So yeah, it supports lots of memory if you're planning doing any like movie making, any creativity, and it overclocks to 5,333 megahertz overclocked memory. So yeah, so she's got plenty of power in there for overclocking. I mean, that sort of memory will probably be expensive. 5,000. Well, the memory you need to get to that sort of speed to overclock, it's probably quite expensive. So then you obviously got DDR5, and they do a DDR5 version of the board. So it's going to be one of those things. Yeah, buy DDR5, future, or DDR4. So on top of that, we do know the next version coming out, the 14th gen, is due out within the next 6 months. So don't forget. So yeah, on top of that, really, it's got 6 fan controllers, and as again, BIOS wise, if you want 13th gen, you need a minimum of 1620 BIOS to run 13th gen CPUs. On top of all that, they have a good sound system. If you go to their website, you can click on there. I've got a little video where it shows you the Asus 2-way AI noise cancelling. Does a pretty good job. Can't complain there. It did sound very good what they done. And also we've got the auto sync and addressable headers, and you can do all sorts of lighting features. Depends how you want it, like beats and all that sort of stuff. basically with, same as all the other companies they got these days, they always have their own, and this is Asus version. Never actually tried it myself, the Asus stuff, but I can't see why it's not going to work. Now there is one thing, I don't know if you know, that in the beta build, or beta build I should say, of Windows, Microsoft plan to do their own feature. Have it built into Windows, all this lighting feature. So you don't have to use Asus, MSI, Gigabyte and God knows who else. Microsoft plan to take over and do it all under one system. On that, with a quick rundown of the features on the board. So yeah, if you want to know all the features the motherboard's got, the outputs, inputs, the headers, we've got the full list in here before we go over to the thermals. Okay, room temperature was between 17 and like 19 C when we done all this. And the chipset on all the boards roughly went between 35 and 50 at the worst state scenario. Yeah, looking at the top left VRM, you can see the Z690 was well lowest into the 30s. Lowest of, then the B660s, basically about 10 degrees higher. But again, a lot lower than obviously if you look at this, the H610 series. It's a bit of a disaster really when it comes to the temperature on the VRMs. The Gigabyte done well in the 80s. You think, well, the Aswat's done well. Yeah, but the Aswat didn't run. If you look at the scores in a couple of minutes, you see why. But Asus, well, they were right up to 100 odd C, going back and forwards every 3 or 4 seconds. Down, up, down, up, down, up. I mean, it was a bit of a nightmare really for Asus. At the top VRM, okay, Gigabyte just stayed under the 100, but everyone else went over the 100 barrier. Again, it don't go well at all. The 3500, the 3600K, you just don't want to run on H series boards. Again, the Z board in the 30s and a B series gain, just 10 degrees higher. So yeah, yeah, the more money you pay, the lot better cooler board you get. Again, as I said in the past, you shouldn't run high processors. And the 13600 being in the middle of the range, now it's got 20 cores. It's too high for a budget motherboard. Look at the CPU packaging. Basically, the CPU is running around 72C, and on the budget boards, it was dropping right down, back up again, down, up again. Again, if it goes with the VRMs and the wattage, when we look at the wattage next, you can see it going down, up on the budget boards, and this is the reason why they haven't got a very good score, which we'll have a look at in a second. Now, if we look at the power draw at the wall, if you look at the include the B660 budget board from Asus, you can see the wattage is, as I said earlier, up and down, constantly. Basically, stop the VRMs from blowing a fuse. They're basically every 3 seconds, 4 seconds, cuts right back down to the 100 watts and straight back up to the 200 watts, back and forth, just trying to keep it going. And it's a massive throttling job, which really destroys the scores at the end of the day. MSI on their mortarboard. Now, I remember I tested their Bazooka board, the 5th generation, last year. Had the same problem, used more energy than any other board, and its score overall still doesn't come out any higher than everybody else. Some odd reason they just like bunging lots of wattage through it. on their series of boards, but trying to keep the scores high, but it doesn't really solve a problem. Because you look at the Asus Tuff and the Z board from Gigabyte, they're like 50 watts lower, and the scores, so there's not a lot in it at the end of the day for the three boards overall. Again, you can see there on the cores, on the 4 low end boards, again going down to 349, all the way up to 588 megahertz, back and forwards, constantly. It just shows you how the balls are reacting. And obviously when you look at the three top balls, they just stayed at 588, or the Z series went up to 5.1 and it just stayed there constantly for the 10-minute run we done on the test. Now these balls are tested for been running for an hour before we even get into the testing stage. As I said earlier, if you look at the ASRock, it's got the lowest score, 17,000. Now if you go over to, you can boost the basic clock up speed and put on the dual 2.0 turned on. You get about an extra 1,000 benchmarks. You could try and go higher, but I don't think it'll make any difference, because obviously the VRMs itself can't handle it. So yeah, a lame score 17,000. And even on the others, 19,000, they're literally 4,000 points short of the Z series and the B series. The Z series, I've actually had up to 24,000 total. So I think according to on the net, the basic scores are around 24.5. So, but I didn't tweak the Z board, I just run it straight out of the box. As that, where the other ones I put on auto optimizations to get running as best score as possible. So yeah, again, it shows you there putting the Intel i5 13600K in a budget board is a waste of time. You're losing so much speed out of the process. You may as well buy the 12th gen 12100, 12400. I mean, I can't remember the benchmarks off by heart without me looking up my own scores. Let's see how they compare. But 4,000 benchmarks off the standard scores, that's a hell of a lot to pay out, and you don't get the speed. It's pointless, absolute pointless. Just to know, if you do have the ASRock board and you still want to put a 13.6 in, you won't get the thermal throttling. It will set itself up to the speed, the lowest speed, and it will just stay there constantly. It won't go up and down, up and down, up and down, which is one good thing. It doesn't give you a headache with the fan going back and forwards. Okay, now we have Blender. This one's different from Cinebench. Cinebench runs for 10 minutes, so it ran like for full throttle for 3 minutes before it cut all the cores down, cause the VRMs get too hot unless you're on the Z board or the B boards. Where Blender runs for a maximum of 1.5 to 2 minutes at full speed. That's why you get different. That's why the results are very similar to each other, except obviously the ASRock, where we've seen before, it's just a slow board. Yeah, if you look at the wattage for the package and overall wattage at the wall, they're running at least very similar to each other, except the Asus Tuff, which banged out an extra 30 watts or so. But yeah, but the score wise, all very similar at the end of the day, except ASRock, where I've said before on the Cinebench, it's just a slow board at the end of the day. So the Gigabyte won by 1 point. Now, obviously, if this test went on longer, that Gigabyte board and the other boards will not be that high. The Z board will be followed by the Tuff or the MSI board. But why it only goes on for a maximum of 2 minutes, the balls are not getting hot enough to throttle back. Don't forget, I'm also using an all-in-one. If you wonder why, how comes the CPU's got low temperature? Because we've got an all-in-one to keep it down. 3D Mark CPU profile. Scores again very similar, except for the ASRock board. So yeah, temperature wise again similar, and wattage wise similar, except for the Gaming X that uses more power, but it's got a lot more VRMs. It does have the best score, but not by a massive margin. But yeah, fine really. The overall score we got is the overall score of the profile. It's not like the CPU score or the graphic card score. It's the overall on the left hand side. So basically it comes down to what we buy. As I said earlier, basically don't put the i5 13600K in these boards unless you're going to buy a good B board, as got on there, the Tuff, Water, or a Z series motherboard, because you're going to be wasting your money overall. Okay, let's come to a conclusion. Okay, at this moment in time, it's Black Friday. The 13600K, the cheapest place I can see in the UK, is £330. So being Black Friday, it may go up by tomorrow. No idea. I think when I purchased it, it was basically that price, so I don't think there'll be much difference, to be honest with you. I know it's Black Friday, but I don't think they've really changed the price at all. But yeah, it's not a bad processor. Can't complain. It's got plenty of cores, 14 cores in total, so 6 performance cores and 8 efficient cores, and capable of 20 threads. So far it's been okay. I am doing a lot of gaming tests now, running 20 games. Let's see how it works with games, see if it has the same problems as the 12th series running games. But otherwise, so far it looks promising as a processor. Don't forget, I'm running with an all-in-one 240 rad, so yeah, it's one of the reasons why the CPU is down. Now I may get an air cooler. I might try it on one of our budget coolers, like the Cooler Master 212 Black Edition, or I might get an improved version, the next one up, which is about £80. And see how much of difference it is between air cooler and all-in-one, because obviously all-in-ones are expensive and they obviously don't last forever because they do leak and pumps break and all sorts of stuff, where an air cooler won't have that problem. So yeah, as I said earlier, don't put this with a budget board. It's a waste of time. If you're going to buy a budget board, then go back to 12th gen, or even now, AMD's processors on AM4 are now really gone down in price. Go back to AMD. At the end of the day, you may be better off there on the budget price. Now AM4 has really gone down on the cheap end. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the video and it gives you some sort of a insight into purchasing a 13600K. What should you buy? Again, there was a big difference between boards. We're talking about £85 on the budget, going up to the Z board we have here is £220 or £225. So basically, yeah, if you're going to go over the £200 mark, you might as well buy a Z board, because you're going to get all the PCI Express lanes under the sun, way better cooling, way better phase VRMs, and probably a lot more features as well. And you've got to remember, this is not a micro board, it is a full size ATX board. So yeah, you are getting more benefits overall. So yeah, again, hope you enjoyed the video, and please do thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't done so. And all the subscribers I've got so far, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.